I see a lot of positive and negative situations, and so that's why most of the time I have a little twinkle in my eye, or something in my head is pushing me beyond whatever current circumstances. And so I just, yeah, I'm a huge dreamer, and that makes me live out life a different way.
Oh no.
Yup.
I don't get it. It's okay. We get it.
I was like, yes, Lord, come on with the cancellations.
Ooh, we going in it. Now just kidding.
You know, I don't know if you know this, but I'm black. Am I good?
He's with the best of them. And he's one of my favorite men to have emphasize.
that interest sounds like much more than who I actually am.
So my guest of honor has a heart for people and a mind for business. He's the youngest of four, and he was the first person in his family to attend college. He graduated from the University of Texas at Austin with a Bachelor's of Business Administration and Accounting. Then he went on to earn his Master's of Science in Accounting and Information Management from the University of Texas at Dallas. You like the UT system, bro.
I mean, you know.
Yes, he currently serves as a consultant in transaction services, but his true passion is helping others. He's a National Diversity Council certified diversity professional and the founder of two nonprofits, Greater is He and Reducing the Gap. But nothing brings him more joy than being married and having the opportunity to raise some great kings. His personal relationship with God has given him the discernment and courage to live an abundant life. And when God is the homie, nothing is impossible. Today, my guest of honor is Larry C. Chapple Jr. How you doing, bro?
Ooh, that was good. Oh my goodness, I couldn't have wrote it better.
You know what's funny? Whenever I interview people, they always say, "You make me sound better than what I am." I'm like, "You did all this stuff. I didn't."
No, on the cool. I mean, I need to put that on my resume, my cover letter, some shit.
Like y'all gonna know. Let me let y'all know.
Exactly, man. Exactly. How you
Man,
doing?
I'm great. I'm great, and I'm blessed. So I'm just happy to
Amen
be
to
here
that.
and still be able to have my motor skills and everything. So I'm good.
You right about that, man. Yeah, you look good. Glad you're feeling good.
Thank you. So do you. So
Oh,
do
wow.
you. How has the pandemic been going?
You know. No, honestly, it's been going great. From my perspective, it's been great. The pandemic itself just offered a lot of people the opportunity to pivot into a lot of things. And for me, it offered the opportunity to pivot in more areas of my purpose. But now I'm just glad that all the people who I'm close to, my family members, we've been able to make it through. Because as you were saying earlier before we started, not a lot of people made it. And fortunately enough, our family, some of the members came down with that Rona,
Yeah,
and just had the hand of God just over everyone, and we've
yeah,
been able to pull through.
absolutely. That's a blessing. And I mean, I will say the one thing that I got from this whole pandemic is be grateful for the people that you have in your life because you don't know when you'll see them again or if you'll ever see them again. So I
One
did
hundred
take that
percent.
from this craziness, but God always works things out when it's crazy,
Oh, for sure,
chaos.
for sure, for sure, for sure.
Well, since you got on this lovely UT fit, I want to start there.
You know, oh,
Uh,
this whole thing, just dusted this off, man.
well, tell me about your experience at UT and what made you choose UT.
Man, it was so. First of all, UT was the only school that I wanted to go to just from growing up. I used to like it from sports. They were always good in football, good in basketball, and then you have your Texas relays, things like that. So that's what I used to see on TV all the time as a kid. And so in school, well, high school, that's the only school I applied to
Wow.
coming straight out of high school. And so it's just I've always wanted to go there. I had an uncle and an aunt that stayed down there. And so
Hmm.
I would go down there probably during the summers. I think I did it like 3 or 4 times. And man, I just loved the city. Loved everything that you could get into. I used to go down there for camp when I was younger. And so love just the nature aspect where you're in a big city, But you go 5, 10 minutes down the road, you can see so many different hills, so many different like bodies of water. It That was something that was kind of cool to me because you don't see that in Fort Worth. So I was
You
like,
do
yeah.
not.
Yeah, and so I was like, yeah, it's definitely a place that I kind of want to go to. I was thinking about it, but then in high school, I did business, and UT was the number one accounting program. So I was like, things were kind of lining up, sports, then my major. So it was an easy choice.
Yeah, Austin is amazing. I will
Oh
say
yeah.
that I feel like anytime I go to Lake Travis, I feel like I'm like in uh Greece or something. I'm like, this is not Texas. Like, wait a minute. Why does it look like this? But yeah,
Nah, man,
it's always
love it.
I'm glad you got to experience that school because it's such a big university and I think a lot of people are scared to attend a big university because they feel like they won't find their way. So
Yeah,
like when you were there, like how did you navigate through that big system? Because UT is big.
honestly. So with me being the first kid in my family to kind of go to college, man, it was trial by error. It was me trying to figure things out as I went, but it wasn't too overwhelming because I felt that I tried to prepare the best that I could.
Yeah,
So like my first year, I was real talk, I was scared. I was
yeah,
like, man, I don't know what's about to happen. I don't know what's going to go on. So I was that kid that in summer, I was taking some courses, reading through some material, read through some stuff that I could potentially be taking in class. But once I was actually there on campus, I mean, it was amazing. It wasn't that difficult to navigate, even though it's a large university. What I felt when I was there, it was just home,
yeah,
honestly, because I was able to network, connect with a lot of individuals, and we would hang out together the majority of the time there. And so that made that big campus seem very small. And the only time I truly just experienced how big it was when I'm going to a class that's all the way across campus or something
yep.
like that. Or when or when I'm in a class with 500 plus people. And yeah, that was kind of different from high school. But outside of that, just your normal day to day, I mean, you're in your own little bubble. And so it wasn't bad at all.
Yeah. The one thing I love that you said is you networked and it made it seem like smaller, like it made it like that much more personal. So I think I remember you saying, um, were you a part of the practice squad? Like, did you help?
Yeah.
Didn't you do that?
Oh man.
I remember
So
you saying that.
yeah, so yeah, I played basketball for the women's practice team. And so in order for women to get better, they would play against dudes. And so one thing that I realized was that UT, they don't necessarily have walk-ons or tryouts unless you have a parent that's donated some money, right?
Hmm.
And so and so I went there. I wanted to play basketball, but it was the same year as KD, all these other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Woo.
it wasn't like out of high school. I don't know if you know this, but out of high school, I got a recruitment letter from A&M for basketball. But
I didn't know.
uh, yeah, it didn't matter. I wasn't going. So
I wasn't going.
no, nah, I'm good. So yeah, so I was like, all right, if they won't just go up to Texas and walk on. Wasn't happening. So I ended up talking to a few people, a few of the basketball people. And they're like, well, you can be a practice player if you just want to, continue to play the game. And so I was like, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. So became a practice player for the girls. The better they got and the further they went in the NCAA tournament, the more free stuff that I got. So that was my incentive. And
Yeah.
then through that kind of network, I still talk to a lot of the basketball people from shoot, this was 2006. I'm dating myself, but yeah. So I still talk to I still talk to a lot of. But yeah, it was a good network. That's one of the biggest things that I took from just college in general. Taking advantage of the opportunities to network and build relationships because you never know what something like one conversation at this random place can turn into later on down.
Absolutely. I think a lot of students don't take advantage of the things that they could because they don't know it exists.
Yeah.
Like, which is part of the reason why I always want to like help them know what's out there so that they can know what their options are. Um,
Yep.
so what else did you do at UT to help you get acclimated? Like what other groups, what other things did you do?
Well, one of the biggest things that I did as far as group wise and networking and connecting with people, I'm an alpha. So my sophomore year, my first semester of my sophomore year, I pledged, and so that opened up a lot of doors, and that internal network, but also the external network with other alphas, but really just other Greek organizations because we would do a lot of kind of mixers, get togethers, programs, initiatives, parties with people outside of just Alpha or outside of just your Black fraternities and sororities. And so that gave us opportunities to just meet, you know, Asians, Indians, Hispanics, so many different people. And those networks, I mean, these people are CFOs, CEOs of companies nowadays.
Yeah,
So that was great, and it's still paying off now.
absolutely. I feel like going Greek is a big thing to do. Like it's important if that's something you want to do, you should definitely do it. But I do feel like it's one of the best decisions I made as well because
Yeah,
you do meet a lot of people, and I feel like I connected more with people outside of my organization, which is crazy.
yeah,
You would think it would be the other way around, but
yeah,
I met a lot of people.
yeah. But one thing that you just said, you know, if you want to do it, go ahead and do it. One thing that I would suggest is make an informed decision.
Yes,
Make an informed decision and make sure that it's something you actually want to do
for real.
because you don't want to get yourself in a situation and you start something and you're not able to finish it. That's one thing that will stick with you no matter what you become in life. You know, when you don't finish something that you start, when you quit in the middle of a process, you're quitting on individuals, you're quitting on, you know, your organization or potential organization. And that's just something that looms over your head for a long time, regardless of how good your GPA is, what you end up becoming, how many lives you end up saving. They'll be like, oh yeah, he or she did all that. However, they couldn't finish this.
However,
They couldn't finish this. Yeah.
that's great advice for real because people do quit in the middle of everything. They be like, "Bye, I'm good."
Yeah. Nah.
It's not
That's bad
good.
business.
That is bad business and bad character as well. Because
Yeah.
I mean, even if you don't have bad character, that makes you look like you have bad character.
100%.
um, so with you being so active on campus, I'm sure you got to meet a lot of different people. So can you tell me what the five non-negotiables are for you when it comes to friendships and relationships?
Ooh, man. So in general, when it comes to non-negotiables, like I feel that everything can be negotiated. That's one thing that I learned in business. Even when they say,
Yeah,
"Hey, you can't negotiate this," I mean, it's a give and take in life, and you always have to be kind of able to adjust, able to adapt to certain things. So even things that you're like, "I'm gonna draw a line in the sand." One, as an individual, you grow and you change, and therefore other people, they grow, they change. So you always have to be able to adjust. And so I wouldn't say there's something that's non-negotiable. However, I would say one of the most important things for me when I'm looking in a relationship or a friendship, I say is genuineness. You know, I don't have five things. I feel that anything that I can come up with, it all gets captured in this one thing, just being genuine. You know, like in the Bible when they originally had all of these commandments, but then eventually it went to just love others as God has loved you. And
absolutely.
so I feel that it's the same thing. If you're genuine and each one of you, like you're being real with one another and you're true to yourself and that's what you bring to the table, the relationship or the friendship, you know, it'll be what it's supposed to be. Like some last a season, some last a lifetime, but whatever the course is, it'll run it and there won't be any regrets because you're putting your true self out there.
I definitely agree with that. Authenticity and being genuine is so important because I mean, we're living in a world where people like mimic what they see. just for
Yep.
clout or just to be, seen. And
Yep.
I think that it's very rare to meet somebody that's themselves, like authentically themselves. It's actually
Y-
refreshing. So I love
Yeah.
it.
And but you have to. It is, but you have to think about it. Like most people don't know exactly who they are.
True.
Like I'm continuing to learn exactly who I am, what makes me tick, what makes me me, who God made me to be. And I'm continuing to grow into that best version of myself. But not a lot of people understand that or know that. But then also, not a lot of people are comfortable with what they're discovering about themselves, and it's hard for them to accept that. So it's hard for them to be real, genuine with someone else because they're not being real or genuine with themselves first.
That's true. I definitely agree with that. We're never 100%. Like it's always a continuous like journey. So I
Yep.
do believe that. Um, but yeah. So what would you say are your core values in life?
Core values. For me, I would think, one, just maintaining my priorities, which is, God,
Hmm.
family, everything else. And
Yeah,
then, loving those who are important to me and then helping others. I feel that we're all blessed, but not everything we are blessed with is just for us. So I feel that we're blessed to be a blessing to other people. So using what's been given to me or what I've lived through to make a difference in somebody else's life, that's kind of a passion of mine, just in general.
yeah. So would you say that's the reason why you started your nonprofit?
Oh, 100%. It was the accumulation of a lot of things that happened as I grew up that made me want to do certain things now. And with that knowledge that I began to gain through this process of just life, I was like, well, because I knew from the jump that I was learning, like flying by the seat of my pants. That's how I was learning things. I was going through the fire to get these diamonds. And so I might as well use these diamonds that I worked so hard for and pass that along. That way somebody else doesn't have to do the things that I had to go through, you know?
Yeah.
So that's definitely the root of why I kind of started my nonprofits.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's definitely what it's all about though. It's we never go through things for ourselves. It's really just like a combination of just learning and also being able to pass it on to the next generation or to
Yep.
whoever's sitting right next to you. It could be a peer,
Yep.
anybody. Um,
Yep.
so tell me your mission of Greater is He.
All right. So greater is he that originates from First John, or greater is he who is within me than he that is in the world. And the vision and overall mission is just to be the salt and the light of the world, kind of honoring God through education, inspiration, and empowerment. And the root of that is just ultimately just showing the love of God and being a constant reminder that we all have a piece of God within us. And that small piece of God that's within us is greater than any and everything that we can come up against or that we can encounter at any moment in
I love that. That makes me
time.
so happy.
Stop it. Stop it.
No,
Stop
for real. Serious though. Look, y'all been knowing Larry since high school, so like it's amazing to see people that you've known for so long. Like you were this way in school too. Like you may not have realized it, but you were this person in school. Um, like it's amazing to see everybody like take what they've learned and really apply it to life and use it to better other people as well. So it makes
Yeah.
me extremely happy to hear that because that's
Yeah.
what it's about. It's not about us. We're
Yeah.
just
No.
vessels.
100%, man.
We're
It's
just
not about
vessels.
us. It's not about
No.
us at all. And bringing up just high school in general. You knew me when I had hair, long hair. So man, it's
Yep.
it's
Long hair don't
times have
care.
changed, man. Times have changed though. Sheesh.
That's okay. Look, some people can't rock both. You can get you a man that can do both.
Look
You
at
good.
God. Won't he do it?
Won't he
Won't he
do it?
will? Come on now.
Will he won't?
Come on now.
Now tell me about your other nonprofit,
All right.
Reducing the Gap.
Yeah. So reducing the gap, I started that back in December of 2020, so this past year. And it's somewhat of a spinoff of Greater is He, but I felt that the burden of a lot of the things that I was doing with Greater is He, it was more so originally kind of informal, coming out my pockets or the pockets of friends and things like that. But
Hmm.
the pandemic, it just made me realize that one, everyone's struggling in some type of way, some type of capacity. And so the burden of funding some of these things shouldn't be on us. It should be on certain organizations and corporations, right? Because they already allocate funds each year to donate, to give back to
Absolutely.
charities.
Mhm.
And one thing about, those donations, they kind of stay away from politics and religion. And so I was like, well, in order for me to do what I feel that I'm being called to do, I need to create a legitimate and a viable nonprofit. And that's not necessarily tied to my my beliefs and things of that nature. So I didn't want to water down or dilute the message of Greater Exceed. So I created Reducing the Gap. And
Mhm.
essentially, Reducing the Gap is just dedicated to narrowing the educational and professional gap between well funded schools and communities in comparison to those without access to adequate resources and really opportunities. And so we address those gaps with two initiatives: Reducing the Gap in the classroom and Reducing the Gap in business. And through those two initiatives, you have a few layers of different programs, and we provide individuals in underserved and economically disadvantaged communities with just those resources and tools to support success in the classroom and just beyond secondary education.
That is amazing. That's great. For
Oh,
real.
thank
Like, no, why, thank you. No, that's amazing. And first of all, that's a direct example of pivoting and
you. Yeah.
adjusting on the fly. Because
Oh, yeah.
that really is what life is. You just adjust. You're gonna react to some things, you're gonna respond to some things.
Yeah.
So the way that you do that is like gonna determine your outcome. So
Exactly.
that's very
Exactly.
smart.
Yeah. Gotta be able to pivot. You gotta be able to adjust to things. I mean, that's the way you survive just in life, but just in general. I mean, that's why when it came to the non-negotiables, when it comes to a relationship or friendship, you can't just be too rigid. I mean, it
Yeah,
can't be stuck in your ways.
that's true. That's true. Um, so you just said something like that. That's how you survive, right? So
Okay.
adjusting and pivoting is that's how you survive. And I'm in this season where I'm like, I don't want to just survive. I want to thrive as well.
Ooh,
And
yes.
I think a lot of times people are so busy surviving that they don't give themselves an opportunity to thrive.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to ask you about your background in accounting
Yeah.
and like why you chose that and like how is that helping you thrive right now?
Ooh, man. Hold on. But about surviving and thriving, one thing in general, some people have no choice or no options, if that
True.
makes sense.
Oh, it's perfect sense.
Because
Mhm.
because when people are like, "Oh, I'm in survival mode," and things like that, not a lot of people are actually in survival mode. But you have individuals, to no fault of their own, they are put in certain positions because of lack of resources, lack of certain monies, or lack of certain opportunities, where all they can focus on is survival.
Yeah.
They can't focus on thriving because this this big this big wall that's in front of them is about surviving the day,
Yeah.
and it's hard for people to look beyond that. But in general, for me, as far as choosing accounting and doing what I do now, man, I got bamboozled. I'm gonna be real with you. So,
Bamboozled by Jesus.
man, look. So ed tech, you chose your major after your first couple of years, and you took classes only towards those majors. And so I chose business, and I had an accounting class, had a 10 key in the class, and that was 50% of the class, learning how to type stuff on the 10 key. I was good on the 10 key. I was like, man, I can do this. Seriously, I was like, man, I can do this. Let me add up some numbers. I'm good. Things don't add up. Got to subtract. I'm good with that. So, and so that's what I thought accounting was. I did some more research, and I was like, well, accounting itself is a pretty stable job.
Yeah.
You will always have a job if you're an accountant. I was like, well, shoot, I can 10 key, and then if I go into this, I'm always have a job. Always going to be in demand. Might as well. Well, that might as well turned into a, man, how did I get here? So when I was in college, didn't see a 10 key at all. Went to my accounting classes, had thick books.
Oh,
I was I was like, all right, cool, cool, cool. Where's my 10 key? Where's, where's my little sheet that I'm gonna add up everything? Didn't show up. Didn't show up till after I was actually working. And so coming out of school, I didn't know all of the options or avenues that an accountant can do. All I knew was tax or audit. And I was like, I ain't about that tax life. So let me go into audit. And so I worked at Ernst and Young, one of the big four accounting firms. I was an auditor for about 2.5 years, close to 3. And I got to see kind of the spectrum of, or really the projection of what that career would lead or that path if I remained an auditor. And, it just wasn't for me. And so that's when I transitioned to financial due diligence and transaction services, which is what I've been doing for the past, since 2015. So past 6.5 years now. And this is technically, I guess, consulting work. And really it provided me an opportunity to learn something new and get something fresh each project that I'm on. And so that keeps me kind of on my toes, but it also keeps me learning.
Yeah.
And I really like learning about different things because I feel that a person should learn something new almost every day. Otherwise, what are you doing? Yeah. So
True.
yeah.
I love that you got bamboozled though, because a lot
Yeah.
of times the best things for you come and they just don't come wrapped the way they should look. Like
I know. Yeah. Yeah. I got bamboozled. I mean, shout out to all the CPAs, auditors, tax folks, and all that stuff. But yeah, nah, I
we
was
need
tricked.
y'all. Y'all are very important.
Man, I was tricked.
Y'all
I
are
was
very important. For real,
hmm
for real.
we're not saving lives, but yeah.
In a sense, you are. You keeping some people out of jail. So let's be real about that. Some
You right,
CPS keeping us out of jail because we gotta make sure we pay these taxes. But
man.
anyway, I'm trying to learn how to keep some money.
Ah, man, you right about that.
Seriously. But like what kind of advice would you give someone who's preparing to go to school or start their life? Like everybody's not going to go to college.
Right.
But what advice would you give them as they prepare for the next level, about to graduate, whatever you want to say?
So, if you're preparing for college or just preparing for that next level in general, for college, I would say, for students going off to a 4-year, 2-year, or whatever type of university or post-secondary education, just know and remember why you're there, but also live and enjoy that in between stage of your life. And by
Yeah.
in between, I mean like you're not necessarily a full adult, but you're not necessarily a kid. And so in that gray or in that middle stage, you get a lot of rope. You can use that rope to your advantage, where you can experiment, where you can explore, you can grow as a person, you can grow into the individual that you're supposed to kind of grow into. So there's a lot of room and a lot of opportunities for you to explore and grow and take full on advantage of that because you have that big safety net behind you.
Hmm.
And the same thing for people who are not necessarily going directly into this post-secondary education, but they're going to the workforce, directly, or going to the military. Just have that foundation and knowing your why you're doing what you're doing, because there's a reason you're taking this particular path, and having that at the forefront of your mind, that's going to help you when you come across certain decisions that you have to make. You can have that reason in front of you, and then compare it to, should I make this decision, or should I go this other way?
I definitely agree. Having that why in place definitely keeps you alert and ready to go when you don't want to. That's
Yep,
the one thing that's going to push you to keep going when you don't want to do it no more. So,
100%.
and there's going to be days.
Yeah, there will be, like,
Whew,
guaranteed.
guaranteed you're going to be like, bruh, it's 8. Oh, I don't want to go.
Yeah, yeah. Nah, God is not gonna have you doing certain things just to make you happy. He ultimately wants you to be holy. So So
That's a
you ain't always
word.
gonna
That's a
like what you
word.
have to do. Oh shoot.
Look, that's a word for real. Because God be like, but hey, this is what I told you to do. You're not gonna always see like the full picture. I always joke saying that God gives me like he does the reverse with me. I see the big picture and then I don't know what the little steps are. So
Ooh,
like,
man,
are you like that too?
man, I'm a big idea person.
I'm glad I'm not the only one
Mm,
because everybody I talk to, they're like, he gives me the first step, and then I'm like, oh, that's nice.
man, I'm a big idea person. I'm like, oh, I can see this.
Yeah. So would you say that you're a dreamer?
I'm a big dreamer. You
Yeah.
know, I have so many different ideas like in my head, or I see a lot of positive and negative situations, you know, and so that's why most of the time I have a little twinkle in my eye, or something in my head is pushing me beyond whatever current circumstances. And so I just, yeah, I'm a huge dreamer, and that makes me live out life a different way, you know.
Absolutely.
And when God gives me these big ideas, or the big visions and things like that, as you were saying, like I don't see those little bitty steps. I see the end. I'm like, hey, yo,
Yes.
if we can do X, Y, and Z, this is what can happen. All right, how do you do X, Y, and Z?
But I think that God does that to us because I think we have a certain level of faith. Like it requires a certain level of faith because
Yep.
if you're gonna be a dreamer or if you're gonna be someone who like starts things, you have to be able to like see it before it happens and still believe when it's not going your way. So
Man,
it takes faith to do it. And I
man,
think that's why God does it to us.
man, you said I had a word. That was a word right there.
Man,
Shoot.
I love God. I'm like, look, I'm gonna tell him. We talk about a lot of things, but I'll be like, gee, hey, I need
Hey,
help. I need help. Like, help me out a little bit.
yeah,
But
hey, God is the homie, but man, he got a weird sense of humor.
he does.
I swear he be laughing at some of the stuff I be doing, and trying to swindle my way out of. But
That's well, this goes without saying. Like, I was gonna ask you, and I'm still gonna ask you, what
yeah,
role does God play in your life? Because I mean, it's clear we're speaking about God, but like, what role does God play in your life?
a major one. You know, the most important one. You know, God. And so for me, or a lot of people in general, they kind of get tied up into the religious aspect
Yeah,
with, oh, are you Christian? Are you Muslim? Are you Jewish? Or are you a Baptist? Or you all these different things, all these technicalities or whatever. But for me, it's always about the relationship, you
absolutely.
know, because when you think about religion, you think about all these different denominations, but there are rules that come with a lot of this, right? Somewhat like politics. But when you have that relationship with God, and you can just talk to him how I'm talking to you, I mean, that's something amazing. You're walking and talking with God, and that's something that I do all the time. Like
Yeah,
back before the pandemic, before back before all this stuff, I would
yeah.
go to the office and I would just be. People would think I was talking to myself, but no, I'm having a conversation with God. I'm either praying, or I'm just thinking through certain things and waiting for certain affirmations from Him. And
Yeah,
you know, that's something that's that relationship itself, it help it helps guide me in certain conversations that I have with individuals. It keeps a reminder kind of going off in my head, like, one, no one's perfect, but two, you always have to handle things with grace. You have to give yourself grace, you have to give other people grace. And three is just like, always have to come from a place of love. And that, I'm not perfect, so I don't do it all the time, but it's at least there. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
It's a part of your that's part of your daily walk though. Like we get challenged every day. Let's be real. So none of us are
Yep.
perfect. There's
Yep.
only nobody on earth is perfect. Let's just go ahead and put that out there.
Facts.
But I do think that it's important for us to always talk to God like we talk to our friends. I mean, you still have to respect or whatever, but you can talk to God about anything, like anything, because He already knows anyway. So
I
might as well go
already
on and
know.
tell him. He
So
already knows.
is that it? It's like a doctor. Like if you don't tell the whole truth of things from God, I mean, it doesn't make sense. But you're not being fully open. You being closed off. That keeps things from entering as well as
Mm-hmm.
exiting.
Yep.
So it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Not at all. And I think that honestly, um, building that relationship with God allows us to really embrace our imagination.
Yep.
And working with student athletes, I've learned that a lot of them, or students in general, I've learned that a lot of them have stopped dreaming and stopped having an imagination because they're sucked into this world, right? And they
Yep.
forget where they come from and they forget who got them there.
Yep.
So I think talking to God daily and like really just keeping him a part of your life is it gives you the freedom to be able to dream and imagine what
Yep.
can be because he's
Yep.
telling you what's up. So
Facts, man. Facts.
so now I gotta go through my 3 little rounds of questions that I always
Uh-oh.
ask every single person.
Uh-oh. Oh
Oh
man.
no, they easy. They good. They easy.
Okay. Okay.
So how do you define success and happiness?
All right. So for me, success would be when you set out to do something and you achieve it. And happiness is just like a general state of being happy and satisfied with whatever situation you're in. And, success and happiness could go hand in hand, but, how they look, it all depends on the person because one person's success and happiness doesn't mean it will make another person feel successful or be happy.
True.
Yeah.
Absolutely true.
Yeah.
What
I passed that one.
yeah, look, there's no wrong
Word.
answers.
Word.
There's no wrong answers.
I mean, yeah, I mean, yeah. All
Look,
right,
because
cool.
it like you just said, success is different for everybody.
You right. Those were some wise words. Who said that? I said that. All right, cool.
So how important is representation?
Depends on your audience. Who are you doing certain things for? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if you're doing things for man or if you're doing things for God. And I mean, overall, yes, it's important. Like because your reputation will live well beyond your years.
Oh no,
Un-
representation.
oh, representation.
Yeah.
Oh, girl.
I'm sorry. I said representation. Oh no.
So you said how important is representation?
Yes.
I would say going back to your dreamer kind of conversation, certain people find it difficult to dream if they don't see themselves in certain ways or if they themselves are not represented in certain spaces,
Hmm.
right? And so when certain people grow up or when I grew up, I didn't feel that I needed representation in certain fields or representation in certain areas in order for me to think that I was able to do something.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are impressionable, or a lot of people are different learners. A lot of people are different, are motivated differently. And so representation to them is something that can be extremely important. And so with some of the things that I do is important because it's not just people like me that are trying to do things,
Yeah.
right? There are other individuals that need certain boosts, certain motivating factors. And they want to feel that, hey, I can do this because this person did that. Or I see a person just like me over there. So I can be over there, you know?
Yeah. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like some people need it just so that they can know that it's possible. And
Yep.
then some people want it just because it's cool to have, you know,
Mm,
like because they use it as a crutch almost.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I feel like I agree with your answer completely.
Oh shoot, thank you. Thank you. I passed that one too. All right.
That's the
Bet.
one too.
Bet.
Um,
Bet.
and if you knew then what you know now, would you change anything?
Look. So all right, let me backtrack.
It's such
So
a
my
loaded
first
question.
so yeah, so my first response it was gonna be, oh, I wouldn't have dated this person. I wouldn't have gone to that place. I wouldn't have done X, Y, and Z. I would have remembered the lotto numbers and you know what I'm saying,
Yes,
played
please.
those, but no. And knowing what I know now, I wouldn't have done anything. Situation I've been in from 1988 when I was born to 2021, whether it was good or bad, that's made me the person I am right now. And I really like who I've become.
Yeah. That's look. I feel like if I change one thing, everything gonna go haywire. So
Yeah,
I'm like, no, I can't change anything.
yeah.
Well, Larry, I really do appreciate you, and this was great. I'm happy that people are getting to hear about your journey, and like they're gonna be able to see that somebody from Fort Worth, Texas, look,
Funky
representation once again.
time, you know
You
what I'm
know,
saying?
fucking town
Hey,
can
hey.
go from Trimble Tech to a school Wayland, Austin without any kind of like extra help. Like nobody taught you about applying and all of this. Like you had to
That's
go
all
through the
God.
all
Hey,
God.
hey,
Yeah,
favor ain't fair.
it's
So,
not.
hey, that's all God, man.
It's not fair at all. But yeah, I just want to make sure that I give you your flowers now. Like I'm very
Oh,
proud of you,
thank
and
you,
I'm
thank
excited
you.
about what you're gonna do next because I mean he's not done. He's just getting started. So
Oh man, look at you. Come through with the motivation. No,
but
I'm proud of you too, man. Everything that you're doing. I mean, it's great. It's awesome. I'm glad we could connect on this platform to just one converse. Good to see you. You know what I'm saying?
yes,
It's been 2 years,
right. It's
but
been forever.
for the purpose in which we're gathering and what other people can get out of this, like I'm thankful for the opportunity.
I appreciate that.